Alright, you guys, we need to talk about Chad Franke because last week he spoke out in a podcast interview, and not just with anyone. It was with Taylor Lautner and his wife, also named a Taylor Lautner. Yup, same name. We love a power couple. So, Chad opened up about growing up online, his experience with the infamous 8 Passengers YouTube family. And oh yes, he had a lot to say. According to Taylor Lautner, the actor, he first DM'd Chad. And get this, Chad didn't even believe it was really him. But eventually, Chad agreed to sit down with them on their podcast, The Squeeze. Now, for anyone who needs a quick refresher, Chad is one of the older kids from the Franke family, best known for the YouTube channel 8 Passengers, which was run by their mother, Ruby Franke. The channel gained a lot of attention, and not always for good reasons. It was known for extremely strict parenting methods, and for a long time, people were seriously concerned about how the kids were being treated. Things escalated in the worst possible way when Ruby Franke was arrested, and later sentenced in what many are calling one of the most disturbing cases involving a YouTube parent. Ruby had been working closely with a woman named Jodi Hildebrandt. They were both arrested, and together, they had been running a so-called parenting advice group called Connections. And trust me, this story only gets deeper. We're going to break it all down, so don't go anywhere. We've seen a lot of coverage on the family since Jodi and Ruby's arrest. Kevin, Ruby's husband, and their oldest daughter, Sherry, have also appeared in a documentary alongside Chad, discussing everything that happened. Sherry, in particular, has become a strong advocate for children of influencers. Over the past year, she's been pushing for real change to protect kids from what she and her siblings experienced. But in this podcast, we really heard Chad's voice more clearly than ever. He spoke in detail about the moment that truly got Ruby canceled. He said it happened after she posted a video where he revealed on camera that he hadn't slept in a bed for 7 months. Instead, he was sleeping on a beanbag chair. That video started to circulate online, and Ruby was furious about how it made her look.
Video with, me sitting on the ground with her, and, I finally revealed that I wasn't sleeping on a bed for a certain amount of months, and then when that video was posted, no joke, that day was when the cancellation started. Immediate backlash on her, huge unfollowing. I don't know much about news outlets, but basically TikTok was the big push to kind of cancel her.
Yeah.
And that's when I started seeing her panic a little bit. And I remember sitting in the living room just doing my homework, and I don't think I've ever shared this before. After that video came out and the controversy started hitting, she ran into the living room and she was like, "You bitch, you did that on purpose. You knew what you did. You knew what you were saying." And she was just yelling. And I haven't seen this out of her in a long time, a very, very long time. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I know people are upset with you. And then my dad actually came down and was like, "Ruby, you need to leave. You need to get away from him. He obviously didn't plan this. He didn't plan for you to get canceled." And
how old were you at that point?
I was 15.
Taylor then asked an important question. What was Chad thinking at that age, hearing all these things online? Was he relieved that people were finally calling out what had been happening? Or was he defensive, since these were still his parents? Chad responded honestly.
During that time, I was working with Jodi very tightly, very closely. She was my therapist, and I had a love for her in a sense where I trusted everything she told me to do.
For sure.
And same with my mom.
Yeah.
And so when I saw everything go down, I didn't really think much of it. In fact, I actually knew how much money they were making, and I was nervous about the money. And to know that the views were going to go down and that the sponsorships were going to go down, that was kind of my main focus. Was, oh no, we're gonna lose money as a family.
Did you feel a little guilty for affecting that?
I wouldn't say guilty, because I knew that wasn't my purpose or my motive in saying the beanbag thing. I knew I wasn't trying to make them lose money, but yeah, I was nervous for my parents to lose all their income. That was my big concern.
The host then asked Chad about the recent documentary and how it included footage that had never been shown on their YouTube channel. In particular, moments where Ruby would tell the kids to pretend to be happy on camera, or tell them that the reason they were on vacation was because of YouTube, so they needed to behave. Chad admitted he hadn't seen those clips until the trailer came out. I was like, oh wow, that brings back a lot of memories, some really intense memories. He explained that before the documentary was officially released, he was given a chance to preview it, but just seeing the trailer alone brought back a flood of emotions. He went on to say,
I didn't see them before. So when the trailer was released, I was like, oh wow, that brings back a lot of memories.
Oh wow.
So, but before they made everything, they showed it to me, and I pre-watched the documentary before it was released. But with the trailer, that kind of was like, oh whoa, those are some crazy memories to look back on. And I do remember those feelings because in my mind, the whole thing, when they wanted me to say something and I didn't even feel like it, my mindset was like, okay, this is a job. This is how I play football in the summer. This is how we get to go on vacations. You know, I can tell she's upset with me, so I'm just going to say it because this is how we make money.
Later in the podcast, Chad opened up about the first time he spoke with Ruby after her arrest. He said she still seemed to be in the same mindset, not recognizing the harm that had been done. Chad recalled trying to reason with her. I told her, Jesus wouldn't do this. He said it was the first time in a long while that someone had truly challenged her way of thinking. A few days later, Chad said she called him again, this time crying the entire call. She was so upset, he said.
And she's like, I've thought about everything you said, and I realized, like, you are completely right, and, you know, no one has ever talked to me that way, the way you talk to me, and, you know, I realized what I've done is wrong. And then she started talking about money because a week before she was arrested, my savings account, everything I earned from the YouTube channel, wiped, zero. No money. And to this day, I still haven't gotten that back. So everything I earned from that 8 Passengers channel, I have nothing now from it. So it's just crazy. And she finally, in that call where she was crying, she said, I promise I'll get every penny back to you. I'll talk to my lawyer.
He said Ruby promised in that same phone call, I'll get every penny back to you. I'll talk to my lawyer. That call was the last time they spoke. Chad said she's tried to reach out again through letters.
She would send them to our home address. And then eventually the prison stopped allowing her to do that because it was like invading our personal space or sending them directly to us. So yeah, she's written like 4 or 5 letters to me throughout the year. Even though she's still in the mindset of being apologetic and, you know, knowing that she was guilty of everything, the letters were still very spiritual. And to me, it's like, you kind of broke that trust talking about God so much with me that I don't really want to talk about God with you again because you just
Weaponized God.
Yeah, you just weaponized it, and that's a perfect word for it. Weaponized it and just spoiled and rotten my whole view on that because of you. And I'm trying to redirect it in a different way from what you did. So every time I read her letter, it just feels like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. And so she hasn't written one in probably a year.
When asked about forgiveness, Chad said he wishes Ruby well, but he can't forget what happened.
Everything is in the past. Like, it's over. Everyone's safe. The story's kind of done. It felt like a movie for a long time, and now I feel like the movie's at an end. That is a complicated question because I do forgive her in a sense of I want her to from now on live the best life she possibly can. I want her to be a better person. I want her to, you know, eventually grow up to have relationships again and be safe with people and trust people so people can trust her too. And you know, I wish her the complete best. But, you know, seeing the action she did, it's like I can't just forget about that and then forgive her and have a full relationship with her again. But the word forgiveness, I love that word, and I love the thought of forgiving someone and still loving someone. So I feel like I'm on the fence of, you know, loving them and forgiving them, but not having a relationship with them.
Chad was also asked when he truly realized that what Ruby had been doing was wrong. He said it was a gradual process. Because he'd been in such a distorted world for so long, at first, he believed her.
It was very gradual.
Yeah.
In fact, in the first like week or two, I was totally on her side for everything.
Yeah.
And I said this in the documentary, as sad as it is to say, like when she described the as saving the kids from demons, you know, I believed that. I truly did, because I was fed all this spiritual
You knew
stuff,
nothing else.
and that's all I knew for a long time. And you know, I believed that, and it was really hard for me to detox from that. And it definitely was a gradual thing. It was a big gradual thing. And social media is not the best place for answers or truth, but I will say some of the videos they posted about like my past in 8 Passengers, they posted some 8 Passengers videos. Watching those videos, they started to make me realize, like, okay, yeah, that was definitely bad. You know, oh, okay, yeah, she was definitely in the wrong right there. And so watching those videos, I slowly realized, okay, 8 Passengers wasn't a very healthy film style.
He also addressed how people react when he doesn't harshly condemn his mom. Despite everything, he still says he loves her, and that sometimes causes confusion online.
I'd say people are really nice to me on social media. I don't think anyone has misconceptions. The biggest misconception, I think, is I'm actually shocked with how many people actually believe this, that like I'm still brainwashed in a sense, where me saying that I love my mom just for being my mom, you know, people really think that I'm still in a brainwashed state. And I'm like shocked by that. It's like, to me, she's still my mom, and like what she did is terrible. And I won't have a relationship with her, and I don't have a relationship with her, but I can still say I love someone, and I think a lot of people, they're shocked by that, and they think I'm still in a brainwashed state.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I know I can't like just clear by saying it that I'm not brainwashed, but yeah, that's one thing that kind of bugs me.
Chad also shared that he and his family now have weekly dinners together, and they've really tried to move forward and leave the past behind. He acknowledged that some people are skeptical of Kevin, his father, but says that if Sherry is on good terms with him, that's a sign people can trust. At this point, everyone should just want the best for this family, Chad added. If they're associating with Kevin, then so be it. They've been through enough, and if he really has changed, that's all we can hope for. Chad wrapped up the interview by reflecting on his regrets, like being pulled out of sports, something that meant a lot to him. One of the only things I wish I'd rebelled about, he said. I wish I had just snuck out to go to track practice. It was tough, he said, because sports were viewed as distortion, and that really hurt. Overall, it was powerful to see Chad open up far beyond what we saw in the documentary. Over the years, we've heard from Sherry, she's written a book, she's spoken out on social media, but this felt like Chad's moment. If you've watched the full interview, let us know what you thought. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.